Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. Today, Jennifer and I are joined by Mari Roberts. Mari is a certified coach, energy healer, and psychic guide with over 15 years of experience in the corporate and nonprofit worlds. She is passionate about helping high-achieving women quit the hustle, find their meaning so they can live joyful and fulfilling lives. Mari blends her corporate background and knowledge with her psychic gifts to uniquely support her clients to break through what holds them back, one inspired step at a time. Mari, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to talk to you about this lovely work that you do.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome. So we'll just start today your bio it's a lot. How did you get there?
Oh my goodness. I feel like that's such a loaded question.
It's like a 5-hour story, right?
I know, right?
Short version.
How did I get there?
Go.
So from the psychic world, I'll just say I've always been psychic. I just didn't know it. And when I moved to the Pacific Northwest, which was for a job, because, I'm just like many other people, we follow the path that we think we're supposed to be on, go down the corporate path, following the career. I still have had different careers in there. I listened to the nudges. So my first real career job as a social worker, then moved into event planning, and following the nudges ended up in, HR recruiting and learning and development. So that path is happening in life simultaneously. But I always knew I should say, I didn't know I was psychic. I just had experiences in my childhood where I say that I used to walk between the Star Trek people. That's what I called them. I didn't know I was psychic. Like I said, I just thought that was a normal thing. I never told my parents that I saw these things and that I knew that they were there protecting me. That led to later in life having really vivid dreams. And again, never telling my parents anything about it, just staying up all night, until I passed out with the light on.
Oh, I would have done the same.
Yeah. And fast forward, my dad passed away. One of my brother's really good friends at my dad's, after his funeral, we were just chatting. She mentioned something about my skin, of all things. But again, when you get those pings that like, what's that all about? I don't know why she said anything about my skin, but I gotta know more. I basically stalked her on Facebook and found out that she was an intuitive and she did intuitive reading. So I set up a reading with her. I had a couple sessions with her. She told me I was very empathic. I said, everyone's empathic. She's like, you're really empathic. And when the opportunity came for my corporate job to move to the Pacific Northwest, she said, things are going to happen for you really fast. I thought she was talking about my job. She was not. I always say my psychic gifts came online, or, I just had the new re-awareness of my gifts happened when I moved here. And it was nothing wild or fancy. You hear a lot of people when they talk about their psychic or intuitive gifts or energy healing gifts, usually it's like something tragic happens. Nothing tragic happened. It was just, again, curiosity. I was interested in shadow work. I've been hearing a lot about shadow work. I found this woman through going on a trip to, like, I don't know if anyone's ever been to Langley, Washington. It's on Whidbey Island. It's a beautiful little area if you ever come to the Pacific Northwest. I went on a weekend with my mom, went into a floral shop. Same kind of ping thing happened where I was like, this flower shop is amazing. I'm going to start following her on Instagram. And one day she posted about someone's wedding she could not attend. And for some reason, I was like, I need to know who this wedding is of this person who she's not going to their wedding. It's a woman who does shadow work. So I made an appointment with her. Sort of the same thing happened. You're really intuitive. You should consider coming to this meetup that I host. It's called Intuitive Jam. It doesn't exist anymore, but it basically was a meetup for people who could practice their intuitive abilities. And you didn't have to be an intuitive in terms of when I'm doing air quotes, you didn't have to be a psychic or, intuitive for a business. It was for everyone to practice, because truly we all have intuition. It's innate in all of us. It's just, are you listening? Are you practicing? It was through there that I really uncovered that I had a little more going on in my life than I realized. Through that, and really starting to lean into my psychic gifts, is when I started feeling energy in my hands, literally feeling energy in my hands, and realizing there was more to what I was feeling in my hands and wanting to learn what to do with the energy. So I became Reiki attuned. And then I did some other trainings beyond that. So hopefully I'm answering the question of how that all came to be.
Yep,
It was
yep,
basically
yeah.
living life, like,
Yeah.
following the career path, and simultaneously things were starting to unfold. So that's how what I do came to be in terms of my psychic gifts and my energy healing. The work in terms of helping people to live their passions, essentially, is because I moved here for a corporate job. I mentioned it was also soul sucking.
Mm.
It was soul sucking to the point where I had lost sight of who I was. At that same time, my husband was laid off. He was suffering from, depression. And I really did feel like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I really lost touch of my path and the things that brought me joy. And I knew that I didn't want anyone to kind of go through what I went through, because if you've ever had a soul sucking job, you know that it takes the life out of you. And
Yep.
I had become really distant. I was distant from my friends. I just didn't have any energy to connect with people. I really lost touch with even what I enjoyed in life. I was a shell of a person trying to hold the world up. And I just knew that I didn't want other people to have that experience either. All these things were happening. I go and get my coaching certification. I don't know what was going on or who I thought it's like, you're miserable. You got to do something different. Your psychic gifts are coming on, and you go get your coaching certification. But
it makes total sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Just do it all at once.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And it's going to look different, I think, for everyone. But for me, that's just the order that it needed to happen, because I think when I really sort of sit back and reflect, part of it was like, how do I help myself get better? And then how do I help other people from that knowledge to get to that same place and to take a step? Because it's not about getting to the end destination right away. It's just having the courage to even just take the first step. And when you take the first step, that's then when you can start to do more and more, because you start to build your confidence back in yourself and who you are.
Absolutely. You said that you were having pings. Were the pings like intuitive feelings, or was it more like you were hearing something, or how did those come about and how did they guide you?
That's such a great question. And I would say that happens differently throughout life. And it's about, are we paying attention and noticing? So remember, I told you that I used to be an event planner and then I went into HR. Those pings were completely different. Those were people coming to me, asking me all about HR questions. And I'm like, I am not the HR lady. But everyone's asking me HR questions. Maybe I should start to research what this is all about. And that's what led me into a HR career. So there's those kinds of pings, right? Like all of a sudden noticing people are asking you the same questions or coming to you for something. So I would say there's that. But then there is that internal knowing. So sometimes it's just a knowing or a curiosity, like going back to following the lady on Instagram and seeing her posts and just having this, I need to know more about who that person is. You could say, well, I don't have time to know who that person is. Why? I don't care. But then you could miss this opportunity to understand or uncover something that was there for you. So it could be just an all of a sudden, why do I have this curiosity? It could be that you hear it internally in your head, right? Like, so think about times, this is a true example for me. I have these journals that I absolutely love. They don't make them anymore. They're sold out everywhere. I went shopping, regular grocery store shopping at my little market. And I was tired. I did not want to stop at Target, but I literally on my drive home that day, I heard go to Target. I was like, all right, fine, I will go. I am tired. I just want to get home. I walk into that stupid Target, and sure enough, there is one journal, the journal I've been searching for, left. It really does show up for us in different ways. And it's just, are we listening? Are we
Uh-huh.
choosing to hear and listen and pay attention? And it could be in your body, I'm sure we've all experienced this. You walk into a room and you feel something and you just kind of have that like something,
Yeah.
so that's listening to that internal feeling. So it's all the senses essentially. I just realized I'm
Okay.
saying this. I'm like, it's all the senses.
Okay. You talked about how when all of this was sort of happening all at the same time, it sounds like for you, do you think the returning or the re-accessing of your psychic gifts sort of helped you to come back to yourself?
I would say, yeah, I think so, because that in this moment, it was an even deeper returning back to myself. It was uncovering or remembering parts of who I am, because if I didn't remember that part of myself, I wouldn't be able to start doing the work that I am doing now. It's almost perfect timing in life. It's like, great, you understand the corporate world, you understand sort of the practical path, but now are you reconnecting to the other parts of yourself that you haven't been listening to? Yes, could I still be a coach and a good coach? I believe so, yes. Bringing in these other elements to support people, I do think that it's coming from a more whole version of me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, how do you get started with a client?
Oh, well, it all varies. It all varies. When I first started, I was very separated. I used to say I would only talk about coaching or could book a reading with me, for example.
Okay.
As I've evolved, I realize I'm one person. All of my gifts are available for everyone. So now when I'm working with people, it's either they can join, I have a course. So for people who may not want so much one-on-one, but they want a little bit of one-on-one and a little bit of community, the course is great, right? Because you can just kind of do things on your own. But if you're working with me one-on-one, we're doing everything together. You are going to be open to energy healing. You are going to be open to knowing that my psychic gifts are going to be, bringing in additional information. So when I do energy healing work, I take people through a meditation essentially. And through that meditation, they are really connecting with their own inner information. I'm literally just, I call myself, a facilitator. It's not my information anyway, it's your information. So I am able to facilitate flow. That's, I think, a good way to explain it, right? And from the time that you are going through the journey, I am actually speaking and bringing up prompts based on me checking your energy centers and seeing sort of what's happening there. It's also whatever intention that you've set. So I'm connecting in. Not only the questions are happening, but then I'm also getting actual information that I'll say download. I feel like saying download is, I get a little like, I guess, triggered because there's so much out there that people are like, I gotta download or whatever.
Yep.
And it feels so, I kind of feel sort of flip. And I feel like this is such an important work that I take it really seriously. And if information is coming in, it is really information for the client. It's not for me anyway. So information will come in. It can look and feel very differently. Sometimes it comes out sort of like as a poem. Sometimes it's, tell very specific information. At the end of a session, I will share with you. We debrief. Corporate talk. Yeah. We debrief.
We've all got a foot in corporate.
Yeah. We debrief. So I share what has come through, where I see or felt any blockages, and any messages I have for them. They also share any messages that they may have received or any feelings that they may have had or how they're feeling. And then from there, we coach on what's coming up. It can look very different for everyone, and every session is different, but that's really what it looks like. My biggest joy is just to see clients understanding and uncovering maybe repeat patterns that they are living, or realizing that, oh, wow, it's actually, I need to set a boundary here, or whatever it is
Yeah.
that's coming up, right?
Those darn boundaries.
Boundaries are so hard, but they're really sexy.
Yeah. Actually, I really think they are. Do you ever have a client who comes in and they set their intention and they're sure that that's what it's about, but then the messages that both of you are receiving are completely, maybe not completely, but unrelated, or there's some other area that's takes precedence?
Yeah, yes. And depending on how a client is working with me, if they are a long-term client, they actually have sessions that are strictly reading sessions where I'm doing just psychic readings. Yes, you can think that the focus is one thing, but the information that comes through may not seem like it aligns at all.
Mm.
But the reality is it's taking care of whatever it is, maybe that is seemingly not aligned to what they maybe have an intention to understand, but it's in taking care of those things that brings you to another place. So it's sort of like when we think about, maybe someone says that they want to relax more, and maybe you find out like, well, actually relaxing more means maybe you need to do a little bit of a workout, but the workout is not relaxing at all, but it creates this opportunity for you to clear your mind so that you can then relax more. You might think that for you, relaxing is, I need to actually just take a nap, but the reality is I need to exert that energy. So that's kind of what I would kind of look at it as, if you're saying the information doesn't seem like it aligns, but once you start doing that, it creates the clarity and the space that you need for the answer to come through that you were looking for. Does that make sense?
Totally.
I can't remember if it was on your website or on your Instagram page, but you talk a little bit about how you help other people kind of tune into their own intuition.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I would love to know how you do that, like what's involved in tapping back into that. And then another thing that came up for me when I was reading that is, why do you think some people aren't tapped into it? Like, what keeps people? Is it fear? Is it just they don't believe in it? What do you see as something that keeps people from either not being able to or just not wanting to tap into it?
I think it's a mixture, and I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
For some people, like I have actually met people who, when we talk about it, they know they're intuitive. They're afraid of what they're going to hear, right? So sometimes it's fear of hearing what you don't want to hear, or knowing what you don't want to know. So there's that piece. But I think sometimes we're just so in our minds that we forget, and I struggle with this too. I know I'm psychic and I struggle with this too, but I'm also human, and sometimes I can get so in my head that I'm not even listening to the inner knowing that is there and available for me. So I do think we just get stuck in our heads. We are in a society that values the thinking mind and the process, forgetting that we are also spiritual beings and we have inner wisdom and knowing that our bodies can share with us. And again, it can show up in different ways. It doesn't have to be an actual feeling, but it can manifest for us in different ways. But we so often block it out as like, that was a crazy thought. Back to the rational thinking, right? Or that was a crazy feeling. Back to the rational thinking. I think all of us can think back to a time where we've done that to ourselves, and then after the fact, I feel listen to that little whatever inside that told me don't do that, or don't go on that date, or whatever. It doesn't have to be date, right? But
yeah,
don't take that job. You want a job so bad, maybe the title's great or the pay is great, but you're going through the interview process, and through the interview process you're getting all these little like like somebody said something and you kind of your shoulder peaked up, or your stomach went like, ooh, no, I'm just nervous, push it out. And then you get the job and you're like, oh, I should have listened to all those cues through this interview process, but you maybe wanted the job so bad or the title so bad that you or it didn't make any sense. You were just being irrational, even though the signs were all there.
Yeah, we talk ourselves out of it.
Right. The brain.
Mm-hmm.
There's different ways that I help my clients to connect and hear themselves. Part of it happens in the actual energy healing work, for example, right? Because you are really hearing yourself and tapping into yourself. But there are things that we can all do just on a everyday sort of basic living life. And one of those things that I've done with people is literally, if you were to close your eyes and breathe and just naturally allow your hands to go wherever they go comfortably, you know, so they might go on your legs, they might go on your belly, they might go on your heart, wherever they go. Now, if you're kind of noticing where they go, for me, mine usually ends up going like a little bit in between my belly and my like chest is usually where my hands are. That's my comfortable spot. That's most likely where you feel your inner knowing. If you were to kind of sit back and pay attention and notice, so this happened once where I did it in a workshop and someone said they put their hands on their legs, and when they started to really think back about when things are happening, they notice that their legs start to tighten up when they're in situations. So it could be something super simple as that, like, ooh, my legs start to tighten up, or ooh, yeah, I do feel a little fluttering in there, or ooh, yeah, I do feel, you know, usually it's like fluttering, or it might be like a little ping, or like tensing up. So that's just another place to notice, well, let me just sit back, ask some questions to myself, see what happens. Am I feeling the tightening up? Or if I'm in a room and someone's saying something, am I feeling tightness, or am I feeling the fluttering? So that's a really great way to kind of just see, where does it actually show up in your body, and how do you understand or feel the pings? And again, sometimes it may not be a body thing. It might be like you actually hear something, right? So paying attention. Go ahead.
Where did you put your hands, Raquel?
Mine went straight to my lap.
They did.
Yeah, but I wonder though.
And then how did you
if that's
feel
just conditioning?
Do
you know, like, that's something that Jennifer and I have been talking about a lot lately, is conditioning versus who we truly are. And so I wonder if that was just conditioning.
But why do you think it's conditioning? Why does that come to you? Because I did almost the exact same thing, and I didn't think conditioning at all.
I don't know. I think I'm, oh God, here we go.
That's okay.
I think I'm just in that mindset right now where I'm trying to get beneath my own conditioning. I'm just trying to, dig into my own bullshit right now and try to get rid of it. And I'm like, I'm in my head a lot right now. So I think that's probably it.
What came to mind for me when you said that conditioning is Raquel likes to be a good little girl, and she puts her hands right in her lap where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's what came to mind for me. But when I did it, I put my hands straight on my knees. Where's my pain been lately?
That's right.
In my knees.
In your knees, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's a good little tool.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
Well, Mari, you're getting probably all kinds of insights into us that
No, I love it. No, I love it. I love it. So I think that's an interesting thing, right? So if you are in your mind about conditioning, maybe the invitation for you would be to do some exercises where you just, with no expectations, maybe you just sit with your arms, on your side, and then maybe take like 4 or 5 deep breaths in a relaxed state, and then just decide to like put your arms out to the side, and then just see, okay, where do my hands comfortably, naturally want to fall? And then just see what happens.
Okay, I'll have to do that.
Yeah, or even do it in the shower, just somewhere where it's not, you're taking some time to have some breaths, and just say like, what is comfortable? Try it even laying down and see, because maybe they do go on your lap. Maybe they go actually more on your belly comfortably, or, like I said, where mine go a little bit higher up. So
yeah,
Just see.
Okay. Yeah, that
Play with
makes
it.
sense. Interesting.
I also think it's
Well,
interesting that you've had pain in your knees.
It's not super interesting because I've had pain in my knees before. It really is in my hip and my knee on my left.
Mm.
And it's funny because Raquel and I just talked about this last week. We looked at Louise Hay's book. Are you familiar with her? You Can Heal Your Life.
Yeah, but I haven't looked at a book, but I know the book.
So she talks about where the pain is and what it's about. My mom recently passed. The left side is all about mother, mom, and
Mm.
the hip is full of grief and all of that. So
Mhm.
every day when I'm out running, today I was out running and I was like, I could feel my knee. I'm like, okay, just working that grief out, just working it out, just working the grief out.
And being gentle and kind to yourself and to your knee.
I'm not
And
super good at that part.
yeah, yeah. Because what if you actually were, again, another invitation, even just putting your hand on your knee and just like sending love and acceptance, and like
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little emotional in my eyes. And so when I feel emotional in my eyes, it's like deep love, which I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to be like tapping in it to anything.
That's
Putting
from
your hands on your knees and right, yeah, and just sending love to your knee and sending kindness to your knee. And also, it's okay to have the grief. And when you're ready to go, you're welcome to go. But you're also welcome here at grief, and like just allow it to be, see what happens.
Yes, 100%. I'm right there with you. I'm not great at it, but I have really been trying to learn to kind of embrace the grief.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, grief, you are my friend. I loved my mother so much. The grief is, so you can make me cry this time.
yeah, Mari, one of us cries almost every episode.
And that's okay.
And sometimes it's both of us.
That's okay.
We love our guests.
Yeah,
Aww,
we do.
yeah,
We do.
yeah. And that's the thing about grief, which I find so interesting, is it's gonna ebb and flow. It
Yeah.
shows up when you least expect it sometimes.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's just like, wait, what? When did that, how long has it been? It goes back to like the kindness.
It's funny that we're talking about this, and this kind of goes to the energy healing piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping this can all tie together. But like I said, I'm been in my head. I've been like, trying to dig through my own bullshit and figure some stuff out, right? Just trying to heal some of my own trauma, small t trauma. So as I've been putting more focus on this, I've noticed that a lot has been coming up. And the other day, I literally was just like, there are far too many emotions in me right now. Like, this is just, it's like, it's all like right at the top, like right at the surface. And I was like, I don't know how people do this all the time, feel all these emotions and not just stuff them all down. I kind of was thinking, like, this is not for the faint of heart. I know this is like it's just the tip of it, and then this will kind of dissipate and it won't be hard all the time, but right now I'm just like getting into it, so that's why it's difficult. I hope I'm right that this will get easier, right? And I kind of was thinking, am I doing my own version of energy healing? I don't mean to sound flip when I say that. Like, I don't, because I mean, I'm not trying to minimize your gifts or what you're doing. I think I kind of want to feel like I can do it. Like, maybe I can derive some benefit myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's not coming across very well.
But I think I understand what you're saying. How I hear you is, in doing the work to heal yourself, you are still creating energetic shifts within yourself.
Okay.
I would say that healing is a journey. Life is a journey. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's easy and breezy, and sometimes it's a little crunchy and hard.
Yeah.
And that's part of the journey of us being these wonderful human beings in these human bodies. So I would say, yes, we're all moving and shifting energy.
Mm.
Yes, you are moving and shifting energy, but it doesn't always mean it happens easily. And
Oh yeah, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect this to be easy at all. At
yeah,
all. I was just
yeah,
like, I don't think I expected it to feel like it does.
so hard.
I kind of hoped it would feel a little less, tough.
Yeah, but also with that, remembering that you can pause. You don't have to push
Yeah.
hard. You don't
Oh
have to
no,
put this
I
thing.
paused.
Yeah. Okay.
I paused.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Because maybe you are uncovering and working on just enough for right now.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Mari, in your work, it looks like you really help people find meaning and purpose. What does that mean for someone if they're looking for it?
I think that, or I feel that we're all striving for meaning and purpose that is outside of us, so far ahead of us. It's like so future forward versus remembering that we can find the meaning and purpose within us in this moment that we're living in today. So helping people reconnect to who they are in this moment and trust themselves and their path in this moment. I just have, being in this game myself of life, it's like, if I get to the next thing, if I do the next thing, then I have purpose and meaning. If I am giving away everything other than like focus on myself, then I have purpose and meaning. Versus actually we have purpose and meaning when we're doing the things that we're here to do. That I always say, like, the truth of your soul, that true soul purpose. And it may not be a job.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. It could be that, I always use this one client, it could be baking, and you don't want to bake for money. You just want to bake because it brings you joy and it brings you happiness. And in that means that you start to show up as a different person. You are a more full person. And maybe it helps you in your corporate job too, or in your business, because now you've created new space to do what you love. And all of a sudden, new creative ideas start to flow and new opportunities open up because you're sharing the thing that you love, baking, with friends and talking about new things and giving gifts. And because you feel like yourself and you feel whole because you love to knead bread and make these amazing things, all of a sudden you feel again like who you are. And that is living in purpose, I believe.
I think you're so right. We are, Raquel's word, conditioned to think that our purpose will be whatever job we have.
Mm-hmm.
We're so conditioned to that when people get out there and they don't find that, they're like, well, my life is, I don't have purpose, or whatever it is. The other thing, I listened to one of your podcasts the other day, and you were really focused on joy, which is something that word keeps coming up in my life, joy. And then I realized, oh, you're not feeling a whole lot of joy, partly because my mom died, but separate from that as well. How do you, I don't want to say push, but how do you push people towards their joy?
I think
Encourage.
Encourage,
might
yes.
be a better
I love
word.
that. I love that. Encourage. I think it goes back to, doing the things you love and listening to your heart, and your truth is part of being in joy. It's also reconnecting back to the things that you used to like to do as a kid, because usually the things we used to like to do as a kid bring us back to this level of joy. Like, when you really look at kids and they're playing, they're just joyful. I think we strive for happiness, but happiness, I think, is something people are trying to attain, right? Joy can be within us and can be felt and experienced in us in the silliest, funnest things. Joy can be like, literally, I have stickers. That brings me joy. Putting stickers all through my journal, my work journal, on my calendar, that brings me joy. Going to this stupid store and finding the cutest stickers that I want, that makes me happy and brings me joy. That then in turn means that, wow, when I turn to that page and I'm in a really difficult meeting, I might actually put a smile on my face and show up a little bit different because I get to experience my joy. I'm not striving for something else. I do think it's important to reconnect with joy and the inner joy that we can experience, because when we can experience it, then we can share it. We don't have to strive. You don't have to strive for joy. I think I've shared, I have one of my best girlfriends. She passed away tragically, like 21 years ago now, I think. And, back to grief. There's some years that I actually forget. I'm like, oh my God, it's been that long. And then there's some years I'm like, why am I so emotional today? What's happening? In that same person, in that moment, like I had deep grief and yet I still had deep joy.
Yes.
Because of the time and experiences that I had with that person. And you can experience joy even in grief. And I don't know that you can say that with happiness.
That hits me deep. Raquel.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want you to feel pain, but I know this is part of your journey of grieving your mom.
Yeah.
So
don't try to take my grief.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing that anymore. Not doing that anymore. I'm learning. I'm learning. Mari, that's a lesson I'm learning, that I can't take other people's pain from them. So
no.
As much as I want to, I can't.
No, because then you talk about energy, right? Like when we take on other people's stuff, that's an energetic burden that we put on ourselves. Can you hold space? Yeah, you can hold space for your friend, but to take on their pain isn't going to make anything better.
Right. Well, okay. So you saying that brings up something that I've wondered about, with you being psychic and having the gifts that you do, and helping to heal other people's energy. How do you care for you? Like, how do you prevent that from being too much for you? And the look on your face is almost like you're saying, how do I care for me?
Well, I laugh because it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey. Well, so I used to actually do readings as an offering, where I would, I used to do 60-minute readings, and I upped it to 90-minute readings. And I had to stop doing that because it can be energetically draining. I still do readings, but you have to be working with me in a longer term capacity, just because it is very energetically draining. And I have to do practices, I have to come into the space, if I'm going to do a reading or anything, even energy healing, I have to clean my space. I have to make sure that I'm doing my practices and grounding. And my practices change on a regular basis. Sometimes they're like super lazy practices. Sometimes I have to go way deeper. I just want to say that because I think some people think that you have to do a million different things. My practices change on a regular basis. Then when I'm done, I have to do the same thing. I have to really clear my energy and clear my space and be really intentional, because it is a lot to take on. I actually used to do a lot more on Instagram. I used to do live card pulls so people could come join me on Instagram, and then I would pull a card and share a message. And I had to stop doing it just because it was so energetically draining. So it's like hygiene. It's like taking a shower. You have to do the things to keep your energy clear. And it's actually something, with my clients, I encourage them to have even a practice of clearing their energy or preparing themselves for whatever they're doing, because I do think that once you start to pay more attention to how you're feeling energetically, you really start realizing oh, wow, yeah, I also need to prepare myself for, even if it's just your day, am I actually creating space, clearing my space and energy so that I can interact with my husband, dog, and kids, or whatever it is, or go into the office or whatever it is. And I do think everyone needs some sort of practice. And again, it could just be a mindful thing. It could just be, closing your eyes and saying, I'm going to just imagine white light cleansing and clearing my energy. One of the practices I like to tell people about is in the morning, the shower practice, getting the shower, imagine the shower water is the light washing on you, right? So imagine it washing over you, cleansing and clearing your energetic field, right? And so instead of getting in the shower and being like, okay, what do I have to do today? I have to go to the grocery store. I have to do this. Oh, I have to call Sally and Tom, right? Forget that. Come in and actually have a minute for yourself to cleanse and clear your energy. Imagine it's white light, cleansing and clearing your energy. You can put your hand on your heart, have just some moments to breathe in, Again, I vary things, so just know that. So this is a version. Close your eyes. I like to envision that I'm in Maui with my feet in the sand, imagining the sun beating on me with a nice cool breeze, breathing into my heart, because that vision then for me brings me like a sense of joy, right? So, and then again, releasing any energy that's not mine, that no longer serves me, releasing energy that no longer serves me. Yeah, I actually have a client who does something like that. She'll say, like, when she feels heavy energy, she just walks around the room and she's just like, I'm releasing this energy that's like not serving me. But in the shower doing that, and then something that I used to do, something that may be helpful too, is, noticing where maybe energy feels a little stuck. Maybe asking, is it your energy? Maybe it actually isn't your energy. Maybe it's somebody else's. Lovingly give their energy back to them, calling your energy back. And then at the end, what I usually like to do is just ask, what do I need to know today for my highest good? And see what comes in.
Great question.
And you're asking your higher self.
I just want to say, I really love your laugh. It makes me so happy.
You. Like, thank you.
Totally changing the subject now. In the very beginning, you said you were attracted to shadow work. For our listeners who might not know what that is, and for myself who's a little fuzzy on what that is, what is shadow work?
We all have a shadow. It can look different or be, called something, I think, different, but we all have like a shadow. It's our inner self. It could just be, you call it your inner child. How do I want to say this? It is uncovering a lot of times the traumas that have occurred in our lives, right? That our little shadow self is keeping us protected from. And there's I just want to say, because shadow work, I think, has grown so much, there's varying versions of shadow work. There could be shadow work to uncover and dredge out like all the old googly garb. But I think that when I look at shadow, it is that other part of us, typically like that inner child of us, who has experienced something and is trying to keep us safe from experiencing pain or trauma. A lot of times that means that maybe we go into patterns that maybe aren't supportive of ourselves, right? But connecting to the inner person, connecting to that shadow, is also understanding, well, what do we need to learn? What is it here to protect us from or teach us? And it's not about getting rid of the shadow. It's like, how do we integrate that shadow with us? And again, when I say there's varied versions, I feel like there's some shadow work out there that's like, you want to excavate the shadow and it can be hard, but it may not be hard. It may just be like, wow, I'm feeling triggered by XYZ. Let me reconnect to the inner version of me and find out, like, wow, what's going on? Maybe that was like 7-year-old Mari was feeling like really left out, and she didn't like that feeling, and she doesn't want to feel that way anymore. And so 7-year-old Mari is keeping you safe by basically having you be a procrastinator so that you never do that thing again. Well, letting 7-year-old Mari know that, you know what, you're going to be okay. You're safe. I'm here. Grown-up Mari is here. I'm going to make sure that you're going to be okay and you're going to be protected. And like, there's gentler ways, I would say, of like reconnecting with that shadow part of yourself. But again, it's usually, they say, between birth through, I think some people say birth through 7, some people say birth through 20 is like our shadow self, basically. Shadow work, again, can look, I think, hard and traumatic, but it also could be gentle and kind, and you can just connect into, oh gosh, what version of me is keeping me like in this place? What are you trying to protect yourself from? And see who shows up. It might be like 17-year-old Mari showing up. You're like, well, remember that time that boy told you that you were, too much, oh, well, now I don't want to be too much. And so 17-year-old Mari keeps you from being too much by like not having you speak on stage, or not having you say yes to the thing that you really want to say yes to. Let's talk to 17-year-old Mari, see what's going on. So there are practitioners that can support you, because sometimes it can be bigger T traumas and sometimes it can be little T traumas. Again, you don't want it to go away. You want to embrace it and integrate it into your life, because it is actually you trying to protect you from harm or hurt
Mari, you saying that makes me think about what I would consider as far as who I would want to work with if I'm going to do my own shadow work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to work with somebody who's going to be like, "Oh, you need to cast this out," and blah, a blustery, almost violent way of talking about it. Whereas you're talking about it with a sense of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing that, I mean, I would choose you over somebody else all day long.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I would encourage other people to choose you over somebody who's going to approach this work with some, sort of almost just violent way of talking about it.
Yeah.
We show ourselves enough violence all day long, whether it's in our own heads or, whatever. We don't need somebody who's supposedly helping us to approach us with that violence as well.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily do shadow work, PS, but I'm aware of our shadows. And
Yeah.
I do think if you wanted to do real, like, deep shadow work, you do want to research the person and understand, what is their process to helping you connect to that shadow. And I also sometimes, this may seem controversial, but sometimes maybe you don't need to approach the shadow, right? Maybe it's not even knowing what the situation was, but maybe it's just connecting to your inner you, that younger version of you, and asking, what's happening? What are we afraid of? What are you protecting me from? And then just having a nice loving conversation with your younger self and reminding them that you're there and you're here to protect them, and you're not going to let them get hurt this go around. And, like, can we work together here on this?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just figuring that piece out.
So you don't necessarily do shadow work, but you do like life activated work. Can you tell our listeners what they can contact you for and how to
Yes.
do that if they're interested?
Yes, I do like to call myself a life purpose activator, because I feel like the work is activating you to your purpose. Because again, I am just a facilitator. I am not going to tell you how to be you, if that makes sense, right? I just want to support you and guide you and illuminate for you, and hopefully hold you accountable when you need to be held accountable. Don't want that part. But there are a couple ways to work with me. I do have my Life Activated course, which is essentially access to lifetime of material and content. I take people through 3 modules, and you can do that on your own pace. But I did purposely want to have a community element. So there are calls that you'll be able to join for the first 8 weeks, where you can ask any questions that you may have about whatever is coming up for you, because I take you through my process, which part of that process is, you have to reflect. So you might be bringing some things up, might start seeing some patterns. Then you go through energy healing, and it is recorded, but it's still very impactful. And the energy healing and the visioning help you to see what's really true for you. So again, back to, you may think you're on a path for one thing, but then you connect with the truth of your soul, and your soul's like, actually, this is what you're doing. The next step is, identifying what are those first few steps. So I want people to feel like if you take a course, you're not alone, you have community with other people. With that course, people can set up time to work with me one-on-one, where it's really more coaching and asking questions and getting clarification. And then I have other ways you can work with me one-on-one, whether it's short term or longer term, but that would be really more of that mix of, you're going to have energy healing sessions with me, and through those energy healing sessions would be any coaching assignments that come through it. I'm sorry, I'm a coach. I used to be a recruiter. I'm still in the HR world, so you're gonna get some homework usually. I maybe should have been a teacher. When I was a little kid, I thought I was gonna be a teacher, so maybe that's where that comes from. Depending on how you want to pace those sessions, there's 3 sessions or 6 sessions. So again, I know people are super busy, so it would have to be done within a 3-month period, but some people don't want to have energy healing sessions week after week. They might want to have a little break, integration time. Or if you choose, you can work with me for a year. I know that sounds really long, and for some people might seem really daunting, but you don't have to see me every day. But if you work with me that way, then that's when you get readings with me. But it's a mix of everything. It's the readings and the energy healing and coaching. So
Nice.
that's how people can work with me.
I love that. I mean, what kind of results have you seen? Like, what kind of? I mean, I'm sure you have a million stories. I would just love to know the results that you've seen and the things that have come to be for some of your clients.
Yeah, it's really been varied. I've had someone who was a counselor in social work who wanted to open up her own practice. She, working together, actually took the steps and opened up her own practice. She's actually on my podcast. I think it's for season 3. Her name is Michelle. So if you listen to that one, she's lovely. She's amazing. She's so funny. And I see also, I would just want to say, I work with a lot of different types of people. So yes, I say I work with corporate ladies, but like Michelle was a social worker and now she's in private practice. And, she like usually dyes her hair different colors. Like she's really fun and wild, to the corporate person. Then I've had other clients who, I'll give you an example of one right now. She is an artist and has a business. And this is something that may seem really simple and little, but she's been struggling to even just write her emails for her email sequence. And she's been having blocks around that. So she uncovered some patterns that have been basically putting her in this position of not moving forward. And she wrote her first email and it was effortless. And I know that sounds really silly and weird, but I just want to kind of give you the kind of examples of different people. I've had clients who have met their husbands, gotten married, moved to England. I have a client now who I've worked with in different capacities, and she closed her business actually and went back to corporate working full time, but also has been able to really manage her depression that she wasn't able to really get under control. So it really does vary in terms of what happens for a client. And I just get excited to see my clients reaching their goals and being successful, because to me, that's like the biggest celebration. Again, I'm telling you, my excitement over the email is huge because it was such a big block for her. And now she's got this great way of connecting in and writing and sharing. And it was something she wasn't doing before,
Yeah.
I don't think it sounds small at all. If you have a block and it could be for anything. So, and if you're not understanding it, understanding that block is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Mari, you had a hand in helping her get to that. You were able to guide her through that. And like you were saying, your clients have had all kinds of breakthroughs. And you even pointed to this earlier. You aren't trying to push anything on other people. You're helping them get to where they need to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is amazing work that you're doing. And I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad you're in this space, and I'm glad that your clients are having these breakthroughs and getting the opportunity to work with you and benefit from your experience and your gifts. Your gifts are helping people.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I've said this before, like people don't choose to be psychic. And I'm pretty sure people also don't go like, I want to say I'm psychic and an energy healer in this world. But I just feel that, in this phase of my life, this is where I've been guided to. And my purpose now is to help people connect to what's true for them. It seems really wild and, may seem really different, but this is the way that I've been guided to do it. And it's my job, and I don't take that lightly.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more than your job. I think it's your calling. You glow talking about this.
Oh,
there's a light that comes from you talking about this, and hearing you now and listening to your podcast, it comes through. You enjoy what you're doing, and you're obviously very good at it. So thank you for listening to your guides who brought you to where you are now, and not doing what the rest of us do and go, meh, I'm not going to listen to that.
That's okay. You're going to start listening.
I'm working on know how
You're
to.
going to start listening. You're going to start listening. It'll be different when you start listening. Watch.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So funny. I love it. I love it. Oh my
Thank you
gosh.
so much for today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun with you both, and I think what you're doing is amazing. So sharing other stories and bringing people in, and the way that you both are so open and honest, that's what makes your podcast so amazing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. We love doing it.
It's awesome. I can tell.
And now let's wrap up the show.
You're glowing.
Well, I mean, it's Mari. I mean, she has this energy and this, like you said, I mean, her laugh is just so lovely.
So much. Love it so
you
much.
know,
Feel it.
right. And then just, I think I texted you this, that, listening to her podcast, just her voice, there's this soothing energy. It just feels good. You know what I mean?
Yes, because she's an energy worker and she's got good control of her energy. Like, not perfect because we're all humans, but like she said, but she understands the flow and she's listening to her guides and all those things that we want for ourselves and for all of our listeners. She's doing it.
I love it. And I want people to work with her. I hope more people are able to find her via hearing her today on our show and her Instagram. God, I just love just flipping through her Instagram and watching her videos, and the fact that she's helping people get to who they truly are and get to what brings them joy is a very noble cause. I think she's doing great work. I love that. She's helping people tap into their true nature, their true selves, and to get underneath the conditioning and find what truly brings them joy.
Bye, Raquel.
Bye, Jennifer.
Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.